this summer, I spent 10 days on board the Island Princess, and here are the 10 things I think you need to do if you find yourself on board. Let's talk about it. Hi everyone, AJ here with Byte Size Cruises. Today I want to talk about the top 10 things I think you need to make sure that you do if you are on board the Island Princess for a trip. For our trip on the Island Princess, it was a 10-day sailing up into Canada and New England. And honestly, the trip was, except for some of the food, amazing. We had a great time. But there were some things that stood out. Some of these are things that I just think Princess does exceptionally well, and you need to make sure you do no matter what princess ship you're on. And some of them are things that are going to vary from ship to ship, and the activities crew really makes or breaks the difference. So, starting us off at number 10, we have the food and ice carving. I have been on a few princess ships. This is something that they do, but some ships do them better than others. I thought that the people running the ice carving and the food carvings this time were really talented. I really liked their sculptures, how they turned out. The ice sculpture was really cool to watch because it only took about 10 minutes, maybe less, for him to take a giant block of ice and turn it into a butterfly or a bird. I don't think we came to a consensus on what it was. And that was really cool to watch. It wasn't super hot, but you could tell that he was moving fast and probably used to it being a lot warmer when he was doing that. The fruit carving, that was also really cool to watch, and they were just all over the place. You would find them in the main dining room, the finished sculptures, and we saw them when we were walking through the galley. And it's just really cool to see the process behind it. And, you know, if you're throwing a party or something, it's really helpful to see how it's done so you can try to mimic it at home. For number 9, this is a staple also across princess ships, but I really liked this activities crew, and that is the game shows. So Princess goes all out with game shows, and you definitely need to make sure that you get to see them. One of the drawbacks is the venue that the game shows were in on the Island Princess was not as well set up as the Princess Live that's on newer ships, but it was still a pretty nice space, and they were pulling out chairs for people. But the game shows are definitely a big draw. You want to get there early for them. The thing that really makes them unique is that Princess goes all out with this set dressings, and so every one of their game shows has its own set, its own like props and everything else, and it really makes each one feel like a big event in and of itself. Even though it's not in the theater, it is in one of the smaller venues. So get there a little early. Liar Liar is one of my favorites, and then I also really love Yes and No. That one is awesome. I've gone to it on, I think, every princess ship I've been on, and it's just so much fun to watch people try to beat it. Some of the other ones, like Liar Liar, a lot of times it is the same material. So, like, one of the answers from this one was the same that was on Enchanted Princess last year, and so I knew who was lying because I had, like, paid attention to that one. Some of the other ones were new, but they definitely, like, follow a script on them. But it is really fun to see what lies they come up with, because I do believe that the lies are different between one ship and another. For number 8 is the production shows. So on these older ships, sometimes the production shows aren't quite as magnificent as they are on the newer ones, but I still really enjoyed that. Once again, the sets are all out. They have the technology integrated into it for some really interesting backdrops. On this ship, there was the smoke machine was its own character, which was an interesting choice, but they were still super fun to watch, and I really enjoyed the production shows. Even though it was an older ship, the talent had talent. And then, of course, like, there were there were jugglers on board for us, and that is not going to probably be your experience having these two jugglers on board, but they were amazing. And I feel like the talent, like, it was really well set up. The entertainment was really well done. The production shows, everyone sang beautifully. The dancers were spot on. So I definitely recommend checking out the production shows, making sure you get to them. Strangely, they weren't really filling up as fast as I thought they would. So you don't have to get there as early, depending on your sailing, I suppose. But, you know, they also happen at the same time that some of the game shows do, which does kind of break up that traffic, which is something that Royal Caribbean does really well. And I feel like Princess also does, is having different things happening at the same time in general. That was something that was a little weird on this sailing. There wasn't a ton of like trivia and stuff going on. And so when it was happening, the trivia was the only thing going on, but then they were in small venues. And so we didn't end up doing a lot of trivia this trip, which is very odd for us because I love trivia. I'm bad at it, but I love it. So that was a little bit of a tangent. Sorry. But yeah, definitely check out the production shows. Coming in at number 7 is the Solarium. So the Solarium on board the Island Princess is not kids only, at least not for this sailing. So keep that in mind. For this sailing with us going north, there were a lot of kids in the Solarium, which is probably why it is as where it is on this list and not higher. Normally the Solarium is very quiet, but this time there were a lot of kids in there swimming because it was too cold to swim on the Lido deck. And they were splashing about, being kids. Can't fault them for that. But it did definitely change the vibe a little bit inside the Solarium. That being said, there were lounge chairs that face the pool and lounge chairs that face outside. As long as you were in the lounge chair that faces out the window, it was pretty quiet. The sound tended to go up instead of out, and so it was very muffled, and especially if you had headphones on, that was fine. I love that the lounge chairs in the Solarium were padded and they were wood. They were not the fabric ones, so they had a nicer feel to them. They were very comfortable. I could have sat there all day. I worked several times in the Solarium. It does have 2 levels. The upper level has tables, which if it was very early in the day, I was working up there. But the ping pong table is up there, and that is where the noise tended to go. So it was only before everybody got up. On the lower level, there was also tables and chairs that you could sit in down there, but with Swirls, the ice cream place right there, it tended to be crowded and the tables being used by people eating ice cream. So there was that. But overall, I think that on a southern sailing where the kids were more likely to be outside on the Lido deck, it would be a very quiet and nice place to be. And like I said, as long as you were in the chairs facing away from the pool, it was pretty chill up there. It wasn't too bad at all with the kids being loud most of the time. The harder thing was it was hard to use the pool at all because of the kids in there. So even if you just wanted to put your feet in, like the kids were splashing a lot, which, you know, kids are kids. So there's that. But yeah, definitely check out the Solarium, spend some time in there. It's a really nice place to sit and read and kind of collect your thoughts. All right, I do just want to pause for a second and ask that if you have enjoyed this video or any of the vlogs from the Island Princess or any of the other content on my channel, please like and subscribe. It really does help us out. It helps us keep growing this channel. We're really close to hitting 200, and I know that we can grow further than that. Just some things that are still coming up from this cruise. We still have our port lobster roll review to go. And then, you know, I will be on the Royal Princess later this month, and there are vlogs coming up for that, port reviews, all kinds of things. Still trying to figure out what my special hook for that one's going to be, so we will see. But yeah, like, subscribe, follow along. We have a lot of fun here, and I do want to keep providing you with great tips for cruising, whether you're neurodivergent or just a little more shy in solo cruising, keeping you safe and making sure you have a great time. All right, let's get back to it. Next up is watching the sunset and watching for wildlife. So sailing up through Canada and New England, you do end up staying closer to the shoreline than you do on some of the southern traveling cruises. So while you still are out in international water, you are moving up around the coastline more closely, which gives you an opportunity, especially in the summer, to see marine life. A lot of the marine mammals are north in the summer because it's too warm in the southern waters. So you do tend to see a lot more of them. And if you are out on deck 8 on the waterfront, or deck 7, I'm sorry, deck 7 on the waterfront, it is a great view of the sky to watch sunsets. There were some beautiful sunsets that we saw. And then also a great place to be close enough to the water to kind of spot those dorsal fins and see some details. So for sure we saw a school of tuna, and we saw a pod of dolphins that followed the school of tuna. That was awesome. And then I saw several other times dorsal fins moving through the water, unsure if they were whales or dolphins because the perspective was a little off. I think that they were whales because they were further away than the dolphins were and the dorsal fin seemed bigger. And then on one notable occasion, I'm pretty sure I saw a shark because the way that it was moving through the water was not like the serpentine movement of a whale or a dolphin. It was like a back and forth like this. So that was awesome. So getting to see all of the wildlife was really, really cool. That is kind of an itinerary specific activity, but this ship is definitely well suited for it. Even if you were upstairs, the views of the sky and the ocean are amazing from the ship, from most cruise ships, but there were definitely a lot of big windows in a lot of the areas that allowed you to look out and be able to watch wildlife. So I definitely recommend spending some time, especially on deck 7 on the waterfront, watching that sunset, seeing if you can see some animals in the water. It's a really good time. Coming in at number 5 is the cocktail demos. The cocktail demos are something that is on pretty much all of the Princess ships. Some of them do them in like daily at one of the bars, and then some of them have these big cocktail demonstrations that happen in a central location, whether it's on the Lido deck or in that piazza area. So one thing about the central area inside the ship that I didn't like, and I meant to bring this up in my vlog and I completely forgot, is you have the like stairs coming down into the center, right? And then you've got that open area, but the stairs feed right down into that. And so they would put people in front of the elevators in this section, but then everybody would line up and sit on the stairs. And so one, it was hard to see, and two, you couldn't use the stairs then. So it did make attending some of these demonstrations very strange. So as much as you're going to feel weird just standing there for a bit, I do recommend getting there early to find a spot if you want to be close and be chosen for the demonstration, because people are going to fill in and it's kind of a hazard. We had much more luck being able to see from the upper levels, but we weren't interested in participating. That being said, it does look like a great time, and it is a way to get a free drink on board if you are so inclined, because if you are the person who goes up and shakes the shaker, then you are also given the drink that you make, which is a lot of fun. So if that's something you're interested in, that is something to keep in mind. Either way, they do pick popular, if older, songs to kind of do that too. And each bartender has like a choreography that they're working with. So you have like single ladies where they're like shaking the shaker in the way and things like that. So it is a good time. It's definitely worth watching. Even if you've seen it before, it's just a lot of fun, and it's really cool to see the different staff members put their own little spin and flair on it, and it's really fun to watch them pull the people in and seeing them have fun with the passengers. Number 4 is the culinary demonstration and galley tour. So somehow, I think I've only been on one other galley tour this whole time. I think I've gone to the culinary demonstrations on different ships, but never fully toured the galley. So this is kind of a 2-in-1, but they are the same activity on your schedule, so there's that. The culinary demonstration is always a great time with Princess. The head of the wait staff and the head chef get together and they kind of put it on with the cruise director, and they're showing you how to make the different dishes that they have lined up. Some of the jokes are recycled and they definitely have suggestions for places, but every time I've seen it also, they are putting their own spin on it. They're making their own jokes based on their nationality and their comfort with cooking. So that's really cool, and it's just a really fun way to kind of see their personalities peek through, and also to see how much work goes into some of these dishes. So when you are sitting there tapping your foot because your dinner took a little longer, it sheds some light on that. And I really enjoy them overall. They're always funny. They're always a good time. And they always flambe something, and like that's really cool to watch. So definitely recommend that. And then as far as the galley tour goes, it's really cool to see how the galley is laid out, how much walking these people do every day. Like that is crazy to me. The galley is huge, and then realizing that there is a full-on escalator in there for them to take food up to different decks. And you know, it's clean, there's stuff prepped back there, there's pictures of all the different dishes, what they should look like. There's so much information just like hanging on the walls. It is honestly a little surreal to go back there and watch it. You also have the opportunity to take a copy of the recipes with you after you go to the culinary demonstration, and you also can take a picture with the head chef if you would so desire, which is also just like a really fun opportunity. So I definitely recommend that. The culinary demonstrations are pretty much always on the last sea day, and it is a longer activity. You should probably count on it being closer to an hour and a half than an hour. But it is well worth it. It's a lot of fun, and you get to see more fruit carving when you're in the galley. So, not them carving it, but like completed carvings. It's really cool. Right? And number 3 is movies under the stars. This is a staple for Princess, and it is well worth the time to take to do it. I hadn't before stayed for a full movie. This time I did watch the entirety of Beetlejuice. And I also thought the movie selections on this one were better than on previous sailings. So we had Beetlejuice, we had Wicked, Top Gun played, and then there were like some older ones like Airplane, things like that. It was a really good selection, and it's just really fun to like kind of have your little blanket, be out under the sky. I love watching movies outside. I have an outdoor movie setup that I use here, but also mosquitoes love me, so I only use it certain times of the year between it being dark enough to be able to use it and what time of day that is and the mosquitoes. So it's really like a fall and spring activity. So it was really nice to get to do that, and I really enjoyed watching the entirety of the movie. It's a really fun way to take in a movie, especially if you like go grab something from the buffet or from the pizzeria first, and bring it out, and you can enjoy that. So definitely recommend Movies Under the Stars. They did a great job with it. Coming in at number 2 is soft serve. This is ship specific because different Princess ships have different soft serve. When I was on Caribbean Princess, it was really good soft serve. When I was on Enchanted Princess, which is a newer ship, it was really grainy, terrible soft serve. I did not enjoy the soft serve on Enchanted Princess. And I love soft serve. I have very low standards for soft serve enjoyment. So I was a little worried that it was going to be the cheap kind of the soft serve that had been on Enchanted Princess, but it wasn't. This was the best soft serve I have ever had, hands down, in my life. And I've had a lot of soft serve. So definitely check out the soft serve. It was creamy like a custard, but it didn't have the custard flavor. It definitely had the soft serve flavor, which is distinct. And it was the best. It was the best. It was so good. I got soft serve, I think, every day. So highly recommend. Do not skip on the soft serve at all. I would go back on that ship just for the soft serve, honestly. Like, it was so good. The rest of the food was terrible. Soft serve, A+, no notes. And then finally, coming in at number 1 is craft time. Now, there are 2 cruise lines that do crafts well, MSC and Princess blows MSC out of the water. So they have little kits for you to use. We did the paper terrarium, and we did the paper porthole that you can see back here. They also had a felt square one, but it was at the same time as the culinary demonstration, and I really wanted to go do that. So we didn't do a third craft, but I kind of wish we had, because they did a really good job. On Enchanted Princess, we did the Celtic knot. That was awesome. And the activities department chooses which crafts that they have on board. You definitely do want to get there a little early. They have a limited number of each craft. So I think only one of the craft times that we were at actually like ran out, but it's still good to get there early, get a good seat, get the good tools. The terrarium was awesome to make. It was a little bit of a puzzle. This one was more just layering, but it looks really cool. The glue dots that they give you don't hold up very well. So when you get home, if you do keep it, you are going to have to touch it up. I need to re-glue the frame on this one. But it is a lot of fun. They only give you 45 minutes, which is a downside. But you do have enough stuff that you could take it back to your room and finish it. And it's really cool to just come away with a keepsake that you made from your trip. I 100% recommend this. They do it on sea days. Definitely go check out the crafts. They're so much fun. All right, and that wraps up the top 10 things you need to do on Island Princess. If you go on that ship, or if you've been on that ship, is there anything I missed? What would you include? Or do you think this was a pretty good list? I would love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Thanks, bye.